Good morning, dads in business. Welcome to Monday. We're getting ready to get those wins this week, conquer our mountains. Today's guest certainly did that during his life. I always want to start off with a nice quote. And the quote is from Khalil Gibran. He essentially said that your successes are sealed by your scars. And that certainly matches with today's conversation about how you learn from the mistakes you made and overcome them and then climb that mountain to get to the success that you're looking for and the goals that you're looking to achieve. Today, I have an amazing person. His name is Kris Kaplan. And the research that, as I was researching him yesterday, I was just like, just so impressed with everything that he has done, the things that he has overcome, the adversity that he faced was incredible. And to come out of that as successfully as he is inspiring to me, just going through his stuff yesterday. Kris Kaplan, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, it's an awesome pleasure to be here.
Dude, I'm so intrigued with everything you've done. It's just so crazy, man.
I've got like this ADD moment where I think I have to find a piece of paper to put over the screen. Actually, I'm just going to shrink my screen. That'll do it. There's a delay.
Oh yeah. There probably is.
It's totally gonna mess with.
You're totally fine. You're totally fine with things.
Right. There we go. That's better. All I see now is you in the far right, and everyone's gone. All right. It's so awesome to be here, and I love the little lead in, and I love seeing all the pictures, and the narcissist in me loves seeing all the pictures of me. But it's because I've been doing all these really cool events with dads in business and forming some connections that are one, taking me to another level that I've never seen before, and connections with dads. That's super cool. And also maybe, just maybe, leaving a little bit of a story and some strength and some hope behind that somebody might grab onto something and say, hey, maybe I'll try that.
Yes. The story that we're going to tell today is just exactly what we're looking for. And the value in Dads in Business Group is incredible. Something that basically has changed my personal life, not only because I've been to a struggle when I joined Dads in Business, I was in a personal struggle. And then my career, or my business, the agency that I'm running now, I was in this struggle then. But once I joined the group, made the connection, started to understand and act, appropriately. Because in the beginning, I was kind of like a car salesman. But once I got the connections and I started absorbing the value and the knowledge and the mentorship, changed everything for me. And I think it's changing a lot for other members as well. And I think it's great. So, Kris.
Okay.
Brighton High School. You sort of went, but you didn't go. Tell me about Brighton. How much time you spent with them?
I'll tell you a little story about Brighton High School. I was back in Rochester not too long ago. I go back and visit family. And after doing yoga with a friend, she's like, there's a farmer's market. So we go to the farmer's market, and happens to be in the parking lot at Brighton High School, where I ran into my really good friend, Alex. But I got to say, there was this amount of tension, this amount of fear of do I have to go to the principal's office again? And that's I don't like I like that I got out of there. It was one of those. I looked forward to going to Brighton High School. I looked forward to. I was in a private school prior to that, and the idea of going to public schools with a bigger crowd was really cool. But everything that could possibly, I don't want to say go wrong in my life, but it was a tough time. High school was a tough time. And the beauty of having these two kids, I have a 20-year-old son and an 18-year-old daughter, and I've paid a close attention to their lives and their friends' lives, it seems that every kid in high school, except for, a few, really struggle and have a hard time with it. So while my experience wasn't unique there, It's funny, at 56, it still brings back like interesting little memories. Anyway, that's my Brighton High School story.
So tell me, in Brighton High School, everybody has this one teacher or, person that sort of influenced their life. Do you have that? Did you have that in Brighton?
Mm.
I know you say you're 56. It seems like an ages ago. And I was thinking of when I was thinking about my high school, because I had one person, because I came into my high school troubled, and he did turn me around, and shout out to Ned Flanagan. So did you have that, or was it like, because some people just hate high school, and I feel like that was you.
Well, it wasn't that I hated it. I don't think I had a great teacher there that really influenced me.
Mhm.
I had a math teacher in grammar school. I went to Allendale Columbia private school in Rochester before going to high school, and there was a math teacher who was equally into bicycles as I was.
Okay.
And while during class, he'd be teaching algebra, and I had a list of like every single part on a 10-speed bike, and I'm talking down to the ball bearings. And not only did I know what size, but I knew like the brand and the retail price, the wholesale price, and then what tools were needed to take it apart, put it back together, what the tension strengths were supposed to be. And so I would just doodle and draw and make lists of kind of building this perfect bike. And but I couldn't handle like, a train leaves the station at 4:00 in the morning and another one leaves in
Yep.
what color is Mrs. Jones' hair? And I could never figure that one out. But I think, I don't remember his name. We'll just call him Ken.
Okay. Ken works.
Sure.
So,
because that seems like the appropriate thing to call your like 6th grade math teacher. He kind of helped me get a clear understanding of like, while you're not doing well in school, there's in the traditional sense, there's clearly something you're passionate about, and you should run with that passion, and you should never let that light die. The school system wasn't set up to pour jet fuel on the passion, but he kind of pointed out like, while you're distracting and while you're annoying and while you're stupid, and because back then you could call kids all of those things, and by the way, today they are, and we just can't say that. I think he left this little seed of go do what you want to do.
and I love that, because that's exactly kind of the same influence that I've got from Ned. He was just like, you got to find, because I came in as a freshman. I didn't know what I was doing. We never do. I mean, we think we do. We always say, oh, I'm going to be an amazing millionaire or whatever, but you're not going to be that. So you were talking.
I had one later. I had a college teacher who actually probably solidified the entrepreneurial journey. I was at RIT. I think I was a junior at the time because I transferred in from Monroe Community College, and I took this class, and I was a finance major and doing an internship at Smith Barney, and set to start my next airline or whatever. I don't even, like I had big hopes and big dreams in the world of stocks and bonds and mutual funds and banking and, high finance. And I had this entrepreneurship class, which is hard to believe that there was one back then. And he had, over the 10-week period, he brought in like 8 different speakers who all worked for Kodak, Xerox, Bausch and Lomb or otherwise for many years, who then left and started their own smaller firm. And he was talking about the joys of being an entrepreneur and running their own firms. And I dropped out of school, and with this idea of like, why would I ever get why do I need to finish school to get a degree to go get a job somewhere when I've got a few ideas for starting a business And, I'm 56 years old, and that was, I don't know how many years ago, 40 plus years ago whatever, that I was like, I'm just going to go do my own thing. And, off we went, with the pretense of I'm unemployable, I'm at that time, a convicted felon, recovering alcoholic.
Okay. We'll get there. I got a timeline I'm looking at.
There's the teaser.
I want to talk a little bit about that, but I want to talk a little bit about your mom, because your mom was an entrepreneur.
Yeah, still is.
And yeah, that's you were telling. You were telling me. I read that, and she's, and one of the things I think you said is that you have to keep moving, and I feel like that's what she's doing.
Yeah. When my grandfather passed away from Parkinson's, Parkinson's took over. He was bedridden, and really his life declined quickly. My grandmother sat in a bed next to him at the nursing home or whatever, and she stopped moving too. And she lived quite many years longer than he did, but never got up, never went out, stayed in bed. And both my mom and I kind of embraced this theme of never stop moving. And she's 76 right now. I might have taken a year off, a year from her, but I guess that probably doesn't matter. And still goes to work many days, and still active in her business every single day. And has this theory of never stop moving. Just a couple of years ago, she was on the ropes course with my kids up in the Adirondacks. So embracing that. And it's kind of why I said earlier, when I hit 75, I want to be in, better shape, better lots of things than I am today.
And speaking of your grandfather, this is a pivotal moment in your life here. He seemed to be a tremendous influence to you. To the point of a life-changing. Can you talk a little bit about sort of the epiphany that you had?
Yeah, well, Pierre J. Clabo is his name. I probably just gave away my password to so many things. My grandfather was he was in World War I and two. Yeah, World War II. Born in 1909. He was the sweetest, kindest, gentlest, 6'2" awesome man on the planet. And my mom and dad split up when I was 1, and he was my in the summers he raised me. And he's the one who taught me how to swing a baseball bat, ride a BMX bike, go fishing, open a door, drive a car, and so many things that, made me, a happy young boy and an amazing young man, and really crafted who I am today. And I still pay homage to him. I was just up in Magnolia, Massachusetts, by this place called The Rocks, and it's on the ocean. It's where and I go there and I talk to him and, share with him what's going on in my life, and, have these profound moments of clarity. Cause I can't go there with something lurking in my mind. Cause every time I do, he can see it and it becomes front and center to me. And the last couple of times I've been there have been some proud ass moments.
And so it was inspiring reading that story. I didn't want to, I was hoping that you bring it up, but I'm not going to I'm going to move on to the next thing of your early 2000s when you founded Kris and Company after the sort of epiphany that you had. And there was a phrase that you said, if I can, I don't want to really mess this up, but you said, I want my grandfather to live long enough to be proud of the achievements.
So I'll go backwards. And I was sitting in a jail cell, facing, I don't know. So I've been arrested, and I went to jail for 30 days, and then I went for 65 days. And the story, the timeline's wonky. I get it right half the time. But the last time I was there, I was a convicted felon and I violated my probation, and I had another felony lurking, and the first offer was 10 and a half to 15 years. I was 20 years old. And so that meant I would be out in like when I was 30, 35 years old. And I thought, oh God, that's going to be the death of me. And after talking to a good faith minister for the day, I read the book of Matthew, which is probably why my son's name is Matthew. And it's definitely why my son's name is Matthew. And when I was done reading that portion of the Bible, I said a prayer, and my idea was say a prayer for somebody else, and that's what I got from my reading. So I simply said these words: God, Lord, whatever we want to call them, just let my grandfather live long enough to see me do something with my life. Thank you. And as it, and like the next day, a miracle happened, and lots of miracles have been, lots of great things have happened as a result of that miracle that happened the next day when I was able to figure out how to get out on bail from a predicament that I thought I was never leaving. And, thus began a long sober journey. And yeah, you can ask the questions, but I could tell the whole story without you asking one question.
And it is an amazing story because and you've been so open about that. And I just want to say how much I appreciate that. And I'm sure that other people are getting tremendous value from that openness. I mean, it's a sensitive side. A lot of people would hide that. And I like,
I don't get bitter about too many things, but I've got some friends in recovery who are closed about their recovery. And if you want to see my skin boil and you want to see me get angry, tell me about your sobriety and then tell me that you don't tell anyone. I lose my freaking mind. The 12th step says that now that I've had this spiritual awakening, I got to go out and share it with others. So it's my responsibility to share my experience, strength, and hope. I got to give it away to keep it. And I've been hardcore about that. I have a few missions in life, but one of them, and I share this with a really good friend, Trey Laird at the Lighthouse, is I want a CEO of a publicly traded company to share their experience with being a recovering alcoholic. It's one of those things that I don't think will ever happen because, the immediate response of the world is watch the stock price tumble. While we'll certainly just allow someone to be an active alcoholic, drug addict or whatever, while running the country, the company or whatever, God forbid somebody, share their powerlessness and their recovery journey in an open environment like that. Lots of stars, lots of musicians, lots of movie people. There's a lot of great influencers that are, clear about their recovery today. And that's really cool. But as a business guy, it seems to be one of those like hush hush environments. And I don't know. I only have one thing to say to like business people who don't want to share their recovery. Fuck off.
So, it's that kind of leads a little bit into the opening quote that I found earlier today, that you should be proud to show those scars, because behind those scars or attached to those scars are the lessons in life. And
so they're so much better. Like if I want to get, I'm giving a talk on Wednesday and like if my lead in is, 8-time Ironman, built and sold an 8-figure business and all these other things, it's like douchebag, Sunday.
The people people kind of like, they're like, oh God, all right, guy, just give me the value. Yeah. No, you're 100%.
Oh, great. Another 55-year-old gray-haired, successful, rich white man. Yay.
I love the fact that you're so vulnerable.
But if I lead with all of, it's funny, if I lead with like all the even the shit I created, right? It wasn't like, my felonies were done for me. I did them.
Yeah.
So even if I lead with my dumb shit, like I'm better off at connecting with the majority of the audiences out there. And it was in listening to somebody else's story. It was, like I don't ever talk about my drunkalog, especially like in an AA meeting, share what it was like, share what happened, share what it's like now. That's the general theme of a share. And oftentimes, the conversation about what it was like is this long drunkalog. And for me, what it was like was alcohol and marijuana especially did for me what I wasn't able to do for myself. I didn't feel confident. I didn't feel good looking. I didn't feel smart. I didn't feel connected. I didn't feel like I fit in. I didn't feel, I felt like a misfit. I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel enough. I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel, all the things that a 13, 14, 15-year-old should. And that's what alcohol and getting high did for me. And so when I hear those stories from somebody else, and I realize that it did for me what I couldn't do for myself for a certain time, and then created a whole nother realm of issues. And then sobriety brought all of those things to me without having to pick up, without having to ruin my life, without having to ruin other people's lives. I listened and I found connections, and I try to share those today. I have a responsibility to share those today, because somebody out there's they need recovery, or they've got someone in their lives who needs recovery, or they're in recovery and they don't know why, or people are like, oh my God, I've been to like 10 meetings and I don't like the program. And I'm like, I've been sober for over 13,000 days. I've been to like 1,000 shitty meetings. So, put your big boy panties on and try another one.
Exactly. I mean, just find the other group, find the support
I've been
system.
to 1,000 bad AA meetings. Not bad. Yeah, I call them bad. Like I walked out like, that was not for me today.
So I've
1,000.
yeah,
1,000.
I've supported somebody in my life. I don't want to specifically say who, but so I've been to these meetings and I understand what you're saying, because some of them, there's people at different stages of their recovery, and some of them are in that stage of, it just, I felt like they were milling it in. And I think that's what you might have hated about that, because I don't think you tolerate mailing it in around you. Like it really, like, I feel like you call that out pretty quick.
Sometimes.
I want to talk about Kris and Company. Kris and Company. So Kris and Company seems to be rooted from the retail experience that you've had. And you said that you wanted to bring products. Like, tell me what was the funnest product that you brought during Kris and Company?
Funnest. Well, funnily enough, we on my website, I wanted to say we're more funner than you are, right? But my website designer was like, that's not a word, you can't use that. And like 5 years later, Southwest used it in an advertisement. And I was like, oh, sometimes I'm in, like, just go with your gut. We put the fun in functional. Everything was fun. There's one company that stands out that we were partners with, and well, they all had some element of fun to them. I couldn't sell a product that I wouldn't use or give away in my everyday life. That was kind of the criteria. So, giftware, stationery, bath and body, home accent, representing manufacturers, selling it to retailers across the greater Northeast and then across the country eventually. No country, no collectible, no souvenirs. We didn't do any of that tchotchke. But we did things that were fun and but also that you could use. But one brand stood amongst all of them and still does to this day. I'm probably wearing a pair of socks from a company called Blue Q out of Pittsfield, Massachusetts. And they just embraced putting the fun in functional, and still do to this day, and still make amazing products. And probably one of the quintessential lines that Kris and Company represented, that I was always so, but they were like our example for other people, the way they ran their company, the way their culture was alive and well within the organization, the way they communicated with their staff, with their people, like everything about them was just amazing. Always has been, always will be, and proud to call Seth and Mitch friends.
The whole company it was just like I said, I felt like it was rooted with your mom. So you sold the company at a significant amount. How did that feel? I would have been highly emotional, not so much like, even though because the sale price was insane, but building something like that.
I've never published the sale price. The price published was probably, I mean, the numbers published were probably the revenue at the time. So, but we're privately traded. And while I tell people don't hide all their stuff, that's one of those things that we just keep hidden.
So I found something. Maybe the information I have is wrong, but I found something. And I'm gonna.
It doesn't matter. So, I built a company for 20 years from zero. And I don't know, we were probably doing a little over 12 million when we sold. And it started with this idea of, I started coaching on the side as like a side hustle. Somebody asked, my friend Greg Moran asked me to run a meeting for him for his company Check.com at the time. And I said, sure. And had no idea what that would be like. And eventually I ran the meeting for him a couple months later and fell in love with it. I called my my wife at the time up on the way home and was like, I have to sell my company and go do this for like the rest of my life. This is super cool. And a year and a half later, sold the company to people that were like, had a similar agency to me, but down in the South, and we're expanding nationwide. And I was coaching them, and during the coaching engagement, asked them if they would buy my company before I found out whether they were interested in buying companies or not. And they said no, then they said yes, and then we made a deal. And I knew it was super emotional. But I knew they would take care of my baby, and they've done a great job. Most of the staff, most of the team is still there today, and they were sold in 2015. And 9 years later, to have everything pretty fully intact, said that they did a good job taking care of my baby.
Yeah, and from the was it J2HI? That's what I came up with.
Just got to have it.
Yeah,
what that stands for.
Oh, actually, I didn't know that part. I just got, because, like I said, I was using a research tool, and it just came in with just the acronym. I was going to ask you what it meant. I was just thinking it was a conglomerate, like a worldwide conglomerate. But it's nice to hear that it wasn't, and it was it's with just like it's like your baby, and they're taking care of it. Now, I'm glad to hear that. Tell me now, so we're in the future. We're here. If you've been through all these things, you're in this amazing sobriety journey, because that never really ends. Having people in my life, it's a day-to-day thing, and you have to keep on it. What is K2 Consulting? I purposely didn't learn anything about it because I want to learn about what K2 Consulting and Recovery is.
So, K2 was originally this logo that my friend Melanie made for me, and I still use it today. And it was, one, there's 2 Ks in my name. So there's a few versions of what it means, and I'll give all 3 of them, and then you can decide for yourself, because it probably changes for me in any moment. There's the logo. Happens to be. This is what I make little to-do lists on the back of these cards, because I have so many of these K2 cards. I think I printed 5,000 when I meant to print 500. So what's K2? K2 is the hardest mountain in the world to climb. And so if you're gonna tackle a task, um, do the hardest thing first. That's kind of where that came from. And it's my second iteration in the business world. And there's two K's in my name. So K2 had three derivatives. The logo itself has what looks like a 6-sided hexagon around it, but it's really 12-sided, representing the 12 steps. And it's a little beaten up, so there's some grit. And it's got a lot of little the logo itself has a lot of attributes that were clear and present in my life when I started the coaching journey. And its premise is to make the lives of entrepreneurs better while helping them run better companies. At 45-ish, when I was thinking about selling Kris and Company, I looked around the entrepreneurial world and I saw there were a lot of entrepreneurs that were doing incredibly well for themselves, but there was this huge bucket of entrepreneurs that were like slogging away with their hustle. They were a little overweight. They were certainly stressed. They were drinking too much. They were doing they were working really hard and they weren't taking care of themselves. And I had some empathy for them and some sympathy for them. And at the same time, I had some giddy up, hey, let's make some changes for them. And I kind of took my experience and some rules of engagement around some planning training methodologies and smushed them together and said, hey, if you want to run a better life and grow a better company, let's work together. And, so if I make a post, if I write a blog, if I have a coaching session, if I give a talk, if I do a podcast, if I, work face to face with a client and their leadership team, if something I do inspires somebody at any moment in time to be a little better version of themselves and to give them a tool to run their company a little bit better, or a meeting, or just one little part of their lives or their company, like the minusculest little thing, my purpose is fulfilled. And so K2's been really about just living that purpose. There's no intentions behind it. There's no, there was a little bit of a business model behind it, but COVID said, God's like, here, hold my beer.
Yeah. I mean, that was the most insane time.
And I shut down. I took K2 and I brought it over to Kris Co. It was Kris Consulting Group at the time. Now we're Kris Co. And I run a small business coaching practice in this much larger consulting firm now, and get to do my own thing. I use the Kris Co brand for the most part. K2 is alive and well around me, and it's reemerging. I love what I'm doing on the coaching side, and I've been very clear about this. I probably have another build left in me, and I believe it's going to be in serving those in the recovery community. So like this weekend, we're going to a sweat lodge with a group of sober guys.
Mm-hmm.
I've done some hiking trips. I've done some whitewater rafting trips. I've done some just planning sessions, and I've done some just talks on building lives, and it's my passion project. And if it turns into a business, great. And if it continues to serve the purpose, and I just have little ripple effects out there, and it's one thing to go to a meeting and tell a story, and somebody's been there, and AA is cool for that, but I like penetrating the outside rest of the world as well, and kind of having fun with that.
You seem to be a perfect fit for that. You really do, with the experience that you have and everything I've learned about you. But here's one thing I don't know, and I purposely didn't learn some things. What is an EOS implementer?
Entrepreneurial Operating System is what EOS stands for.
Okay.
It's from the book. I'm not an EOS implementer anymore. I have to say that for legal reasons, because they franchised and I didn't buy a franchise, and blah, blah, blah. Now now for a business system, we put in what's called the growth method. And, I'll just simply say it's like the adult version of EOS. As a growing company, you'll learn super cool things on how to grow great people and great operations. And then one day you'll want to actually build and scale a company, and you need a few more tools than that. So, yeah.
All right, awesome, bro. Hey, and by the way, congratulations on Giddy Up. I didn't get time to read it this week. I'm gonna grab it and get into that because the more I learned about you, the more I want to know. Like, sorry, let me rephrase that. What I learned about you, the more I want to learn more about you. That still doesn't sound right, but I think you get what I'm trying to say.
Just come to all the dads in business events and hang out and ask good questions,
bro.
right?
The next time, I'm literally gonna sit next to you.
And that's not to you. That's not to you. That's to everyone. Come out.
Yeah,
Come,
for sure.
come to whatever the events are. And I don't care if you don't know anyone there. That's kind of what they're all about.
Exactly.
I walked into my first Dads in Business event at the Capitol Grill. There were 14 of us for dinner, and I halfway knew one person there that night.
And now?
All of them.
Every one of them. Same thing, man.
Every single one of the people that was at that dinner that night. Well, one exception, because I don't, but that's all right.
No, but what you're saying, that's the exact point.
I met some really cool businesses.
Mhm.
That's been fun to play with them a little bit. I've met a great sober guy. I've rekindled some relationships that were it's been a remarkable experience in the maybe, I don't know, 2 years now, that a year and a half plus of going to events or creating events or just reaching out or engaging, whether it's on, it's fun to engage online, but it's way better to go have lunch, play golf, have dinner, or do whatever.
And we have 2 more events coming up.
I would prefer all the face-to-face over online engagement all day long, every day.
And then we have two events coming up. If you're watching now or watching later, the Glastonbury event's coming up. Check out Bennett's for that one. Then we got Happy Indoor Golf, which is a cool place, which is right here in my hometown. I purposely didn't want to talk about Ironman stuff because
Wait, what's the Glastonbury event? I live in Glastonbury. I don't even know.
I don't have the exact details in front of me because I didn't write it down. But it is a happy hour. I'm kind of mad at myself that I don't remember the name of the restaurant, but it's a happy hour event. Just bring your wallets, basically, nothing official. Show up, have fun. Have some wings and enjoy each other. And talk to each other and get that value. And then you mentioned also that you're saying how the group, and this is one of the things that I like about the group. It's not just about business. It's about being dads. It's about the struggles that we all went through and the stuff because life is such a vicious bitch. You know what I mean? It's just so hard sometimes. It's just like, oh, why did that just happen? It's the whole point is preventing that.
Well, I think there's some joys also.
Oh, big time.
I think there's some amazing things that are happening in our lives and our businesses that I found this with EO first, and I think I've seen it a little bit with the Dads in Business group. Is that as CEO, as leaders of our company, sometimes at our company is not the most appropriate place to share all of our successes. And we need a good, healthy place. And when you put together a group of men who are trying to become better versions of themselves, that seems to be like a really good place. It's not that, let's not get me wrong and say this is not the place to come and show me how cool you are and how many things you got going on. Most of us will just roll our eyes. We want to see great dads leading great lives or great dads struggling that want to lead great lives and are willing to be vulnerable, to share, to, have that deep connection quickly. And I've been blessed. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I help bring that out in people, but I try to get there quickly. And if I haven't gotten, if we spent a lot of time together and we haven't gotten there quickly, it hasn't been for my lack of effort or, trying to get that out of you.
That is a perfect thought process and speech and exactly what dads is. I don't think I could have said it. Kris, thank you so much for joining me today, man. This was a good research one. This is a good podcast for me. I
You
got a
did
lot.
your research. It's funny, I read your email yesterday. I think while I was standing in line at Whole Foods, I'm like, damn, he's got a lot of like. Do I need? Like he's just going to ask me like 5 questions or 6 questions.
No, I got one more thing. One more thing that I want to bring up, and I found this. It doesn't exactly match with the stuff that you're doing, but this was an interesting little thing here that I found. Do you see that?
I see Wall Street Journal.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining
can't
me
read
today.
anything
Today,
else.
we're going to have a quick lesson on
Oh, is that
Google
me in the
and how to
background?
use
That is you,
Google's
sir, doing
document
a
section.
Google.
So first,
this is back
here we are
in.
at a
Look at that's my like little Donald Trump drawing and soup Nazi picture in the background.
Yeah.
On my base.
So again, it's always an internet thing with me. Every time I try to play these videos, they kind of get stuck. So I did the same thing with Neil, but it was hilarious because I came across it. I said, "This guy's
normal
giving
web browser.
giving lessons on Google and how to use Google Documents, and
www.
it was so crazy."
Wow. How long ago was that?
Dude, years. Let me see. Let me see. But when I found it, I was like,
Google.
that was pretty cool. 15 years ago, my friend. A
.com.
total as popular
Enter,
and as famous you
and
are.
you're gonna
That's
come
45
to the
views.
Google homepage. Let me just make it the right size for the screen.
But I love this, dude. It was so
And
cool. And it was very, very cool that I found this. I was very happy because I always like to find something.
Google lesson number 1. Ask me if I ever did Google lesson number 2.
Did you ever do Google lesson number 2? No.
Probably.
Bro, the whole browser, I came across it actually as an image because I was looking for some good images for you. Excuse me. And I saw that as a thumbnail. I was like, dude, what browser is that? That's like Apple's first browser ever.
Probably AOL.
Again, Kris, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm not going to take up too much more of your time, man. It was really great. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to see you at the Glastonbury event, right?
Right, for sure.
For sure. All right, Bennett's
As
gonna.
long as I'm in town that day, yes.
Oh, fingers crossed you are, because I think we met in person once, but we didn't really.
You know what the dates are?
Dude, why are you doing that to me, man? Today was about Kris. It wasn't about the. I wasn't even thinking about it.
Look it up.
I will. It's in the Dads and Business group. You can take a look at that. Kris, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. It was awesome. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I'm hitting the wrong buttons as usual. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're catching this later, I want to thank Kris for joining me today. He has a busy schedule, and for him to take the time out to share the value and his personality and his vulnerability, was an amazing journey. It was really, really important for me to learn everything I needed to know about this, man, because the more I peeled the onions, the more I realized that we sort of share the same kind of struggles. And although I didn't want to talk about my personal struggles, because everybody has them, I really wanted to focus on Kris today. Thank you so much for watching today. We will see you next Monday. Dude, that was awesome.
I love that.